Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Look, if you have a new LLC and you're trying to figure out which is the easiest banks that will actually give me business funding without showing proof of revenue in the business, well, I'm going to show you 5 places. Plus, I'm going to show you some places if you have revenue but you don't have a whole lot of revenue that may be able to give you some funding. Now, the first one is Capital One. Okay, now some of you all may be scratching your head, but yes, Capital One. And the reason I'm choosing Capital One is because of this card here. This is the Capital One Spark Classic. And the reason is because all you need is a 580 credit score. Okay, this is a very low hanging fruit. So even if you had a Capital One card in the past and you defaulted on it, but the charge off is over 1 year, they possibly will still approve you for a new Capital One Spark Classic. Now, the thing about it, for most people, they don't like that this card does report both on the business and the personal. However, I've seen people with bad credit that have gotten starting out like about $3,000. Okay, their starting limit with this card. Now, that being said, another institution that I would tell you to consider is BMO. If BMO is in your location, then I would definitely consider them. Now, here's something that some other people did. If BMO is not in their location, they would sign up with a registered agent in a state that BMO offers funding to, credit cards and stuff too. They would sign up with a registered agent, and then they would apply with their business, okay? Because now they're actually in that state. All right, so that's an option. Now, the reason why I'm telling you guys to look at this card, this is the BMO Business Platinum card. The reason is because of 18 months on purchases and balance transfer. Now, it gets even better because BMO, they actually have a minority program. And so what it is with their minority program, if you have a business and you have a credit score, I think it's about 620, 640, they actually have a separate loan program that you can possibly be approved for. Now, here's the data points with BMO. With BMO, they use a Vantage 4. Now, some of you all may be scratching your head, what's Vantage 4? Well, Vantage 4 is a little higher than Vantage 3, okay, 3, 4. But here's the thing about it, with Vantage 4, they're not looking or counting in any of your medical bills. No judgments, okay? So they're not counting in. They're not looking at the bankruptcy. Well, they will look at the bankruptcy if the bankruptcy is less than 4 years old. But if you go beyond that, and with BMO, say that you have 8 inquiries, and it's a Vantage 4 TransUnion at that, okay? So if you have a lot of inquiries, BMO is still flexible enough that they will still give you a credit card. And then, like, after you start utilizing the credit card, give it about 6 months, then you can actually start to apply for the line of credit. Stay away from the loans. Do not go after the loans, okay? And I'm trying to give you low-hanging fruit here, so that's the reason that I'm talking about these here cards, all right? A lot of people, they want to run over to American Express. They want to run over to Chase. But here's the thing about it. When those are top-tier banks, and the reason you may hear somebody getting a high limit from them, they're not telling you that, hey, I've been with Chase for 5, 10 years. They're not telling you that they've been depositing with Chase or with American Express or something like that. They had been gardening the relationship. I'm talking about credit cards you can get without actually gardening the relationship and possibly get higher limits, okay? And that's the reason that I'm trying to put you up on the game of why there are certain credit cards. If you are new with your LLC, these are the credit cards that you actually should start out with because they're such an easier credit card to get. That being said, the next one is PNC. And again, like I said, with PNC, I love them. And the reason is because they use a FICO 9 scoring. So they use Experian FICO 9, right? But here's the better part about PNC. As you can see here, 0% on balance transfers, okay, and purchasing. Now, another great thing with some of these here business credit cards, they will actually give you convenience checks where you can actually liquidate that credit card over into your checking account. Now, because these are business credit cards, if you liquidate them, it's not going to affect your personal credit. Yay, right? It's because now you're able to keep on working on your personal credit where you can get access to more funding. All right, so that's the reason that I'm showing you these cards. Navy Federal. Okay, so here's the thing about it with Navy Federal. You're gonna need 2 scores to get this. Now, some of you are like, what do you mean by 2 scores? Okay, so you have your internal score. Your internal score goes from 100 to 450. I just recently made a video explaining about that. But because it goes from 100 to 450, that means that if you're able to do direct deposit, so some of you all may be independent contractors, right? And so you don't have payroll set up, so you can't do deposits and stuff like that. Well, I can help with that by you clicking the link, schedule one-on-one, or clicking the link and setting up payroll. Okay, it's just that simple because you're leaving a lot of money on the table. That's what you're doing, all right? So that's the reason I tell you, you're able to get funding without your personal credit, okay? It's possible, but you have to have your business structured the proper way, the right NAICS code, and you have to have the deposits going on, all right? So that's very important. Now, here's the thing about it. With this Navy Federal GoBiz card, this is so important. You need 2 scores, the internal score and your personal score, all right? Now, the internal score goes from 100 up to 450. So, breaking that down real quick for those that don't understand it, you would have to have the highest internal score with Navy Federal. It's better if you're able to do some direct deposits, a flagship checking account, savings account. You can have a pledge loan. You don't have to have multiple pledge loans, just one. Always, I tell you guys that even with the pledge loans, because you have multiple pledge loans, that doesn't guarantee a personal loan with Navy Federal. It has nothing to do with that. Your internal score only deals with the credit cards on the business and personal side, right? Now, here's another thing that affects you. I always tell people, start with maybe their simple CD or money market account, okay? And the reason is, for those 2 extra things, is because now that they see that you're really invested into the credit union, it makes it much easier for them to give you funding, all right? Now, here's another thing I want you all to understand, that your NAICS code is going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference of them even actually opening up the checking account. So if you have a high-risk NAICS code, credit repair, MLM, CBD, marijuana, ammunition, ATM machines, okay? Those are high risk. Real estate, restaurant, transportation, those are your high risk NAICS codes. And more likely, when you put that on your application, they will not even open up the business account. Okay, I'm just being transparent with you. They are very strict in terms of what type of businesses that they're willing to work with. All right, so just keep that in mind. Now, another thing about with Navy Federal business account, you have to understand, because they don't have a big staff, it usually takes them anywhere from 30 to 60 days. Usually about 30 days to open it. Okay, but in reference to having revenue in the company, you do not have to have revenue in the company. They're going to look at the personal credit. And again, it's Experian FICO 9 for the business credit card. The personal credit card is TransUnion FICO 9. Okay, like I said, we're giving you low-hanging fruit, and the reason they're low-hanging fruit because you may already have authorized users, rental payment, utilities, subscriptions, and reporting on your credit file, which is help boosting up the credit score. So your Vantage score as well as your FICO 9 scores, this is where you can actually leverage, okay? Now, another card you want to take a look at is the GM. Yes, the GM card. Now, here's the thing about it with this GM business credit card. Usually with Goldman Sachs, they usually pull TransUnion, okay? TransUnion FICO 9, okay? And you can actually get this card without a hard pull on the credit, right? For those that don't know how to do that, basically, you do the pre-approval, okay? Once you do the pre-approval to see the amount you're approved for, then you open up a second screen and you lock your TransUnion. Now here's the thing about it, with the GM business credit card, some people have been getting their Equifax FICO 9 frozen. So the thing about it is I would freeze my TransUnion and Equifax and then apply once I already know what I'm approved for. And that way you can avoid the hard inquiry, right? Usually when you do that, locking up your file, it may take them a couple more days versus an instant pull, okay? Now, here's the thing that will give this away so you can understand. When you apply for the business credit card, usually GM is going to give you a higher limit. The reason is because they wanted you to spend more money, okay? So that's the reason they're wanting you to spend more money, not only because they're giving you this bonus, but of course you're building that relationship with them, all right? And as you can see, apply with no impact on your credit. So that's the reason I said do the thought and do the pre-approval, and then, as a matter of fact, approval will result in a hard inquiry, okay? So that's what I mean about doing the credit hack with this here GM card. That's very important. Now, for those of you that have a business and you don't want to deal with your credit at all, you just only want your EIN, here's some lenders that may not have high limits, but you can do it with an EIN, and like Giggle Finance, okay? So with Giggle Finance, as you can see here, it's very easy. No credit requirements. 90 days in business with Giggle Finance, and here's the lenders, right? So if you are app-based freelancers, small business, sellers, and franchisees, independent contractors, you're able to get approved for this. Now, please keep this in mind. Like with some places like that, they're not in all states, all 50 states, all right? So by them not being in all 50 states, so what that would mean is that you as an individual, say that you're in New York, you may not be able to qualify for this, all right? But you can definitely send them an email or something, say, hey, do you offer loans in New York City? But the good part about this is that you don't have to have a whole lot of revenue. Usually companies like this, they want you to have anywhere from $1,000 to up to $1,500 and only be in business for at least 90 days with an active business checking. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to have an active business checking account. You do have to have an active checking account that shows actual deposits, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, for those of you, again, that are making revenue and you don't want to deal with your personal credit at all, here's another lender. You have Fairfigure. Now, here's the thing about it with Fairfigure. They give loans anywhere from $500 up to $500,000. Now, the good part about Fairfigure, they give you 2 business trade lines. So with those 2 business trade lines, as you can see, they utilize Credit Safe, Equifax, Experian. They use Plaid to double check to make sure that there's revenue in the business. TransUnion, as well as Small Business Financial Exchange. The 2 trade lines for your business credit file. One, when you sign up for that program, because they're similar to NAB, for those that have not seen me talk about this company, they're similar to NAB, but when you sign up for the company, okay, so it gives you your personal credit monitoring and your business credit monitoring. So you'll get a trade line for that, right? And they use Vantage 3 scoring. So they'll give you your Vantage 3 scoring. Then they also have the loan. So in terms of you qualifying for the loan, you need to be making anywhere $2,000 more in order to qualify for their loan. But it is an extra trade line. So you're getting 2 trade lines to help you build up your business credit file, okay? So that's something that I hope that will help you. And then there's one other lender that gives up to $20,000 as well. And this is Lendeska, excuse me. This is Lendeska. They give up to $20,000, okay? And as you can see, the breakdown up to 18 months, they give it to you less than 24 hours. Lowest interest rate is 20%. Now, again, it is a merchant cash advance. So please keep that in mind. That means that the interest rates is going to be high. But as you can see, 1099 workers, self-employed, you're able to qualify. What's the minimum qualifications? Minimum is $25,000 annually. So that means you're making $1,250 a month in order to qualify for this. A 550 score, and the minimum time in business at least 3 months. Okay, so they're not asking for a lot in order to help you get some funding. Yes, it is a platform, but in terms of if you're looking for capital and you don't want to use your personal credit, this is definitely one of those platforms you want to take a look at. Now, if you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off of the credit, click the link in the description, schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.